Thank you. Before I tell you my story, I was exposed to cancer patients well before I was diagnosed with cancer. I took care of my sisters, a sister and stepsisters who had cancers, breast cancer to be very specific. So that was way back before I was diagnosed, but I was first diagnosed in 2010 with breast cancer. But before the diagnosis, I had 4 lumpectomies done, 3 on one breast and 1 on the other before the radical bilateral mastectomy. So that was in July 2010. It was at stage 2. I was treated and I lived a normal life. Yeah. 2 years later, I was diagnosed with cervical cancer. 2012. In May, I had hysterectomy, but because of my age, they did not remove the ovaries. They removed the cervix and the uterus, but they left the ovaries. And it was a stage 1B. So I was put on hormonal treatment. And that lasted, I lived a normal life until after 10 years later, yeah, then I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer and doubled up with cancer in the lymph nodes of the breast under my armpits. Yeah, so I started this journey in 2022, which is still currently going on. I've had quite a number of surgeries and chemotherapies. And here I am, still fighting, still living, still happy, still enjoying life by God's grace. Now, that's a nutshell of it. That's just an overall of it. Being a caregiver was not very easy. Being a patient, now I know it's not easy because the treatment you go through is very hard. And so it means even people taking care of you are also affected emotionally, physically. It's very fatiguing. Sometimes when you're sick and it gets better, other people still take you to be sick. Or if you're a caregiver, you only see this person as a sick person. So you still carry that burden in you. So being a caregiver is not easy. It's not very easy, and often we forget that caregivers are equally affected like the patients themselves, and even more, because sometimes the patient feels better, but the caregiver is still carrying the burden of that pain that you showed them. Yeah. So being a caregiver, it wasn't very easy, but it was nice to walk with your loved ones, but it's very heartbreaking to lose them. Now, when you're first diagnosed and you've taken care of people who have gone ahead of you, the one thing that comes into your mind is, am I dying? That can also be very heavy in your heart. Unless you look positively and you look at that thin line that is there, the gray area, that yes, it was them, I have my life, and my life is in the hands of God, and I can do it. God can walk with me, and until that time God says I'm going home, there's no way I'm going. So you just have to tell yourself, cancer does not have me, I have cancer. So that's where I started my journey part when I was first diagnosed with cancer. I didn't look at it as a death sentence. I said, God will take me where He wants to take me, and He'll never leave me nor forsake me. I leaned on the Word of God, and that is what has been my strength and my pillar to date. God helped me a lot, and living by the Word of God has been my pillar, even during the time of caregiving and during my time of being a patient.
Mhm.
And living by hope each and every waking day is a new day that the sun will shine,
Mhm.
and you have to have hope. Very devastating.
Mhm.
The very first time you're told, this is something that, if you have been a caregiver of the same, it is something that you live with that fear that maybe one time, and then that time comes. It's very devastating, very, very devastating. And for me, I'm supposed to take a BRCA test because the oncologist strongly felt that it's hereditary. Having seen them go and having been diagnosed, it was very devastating. But again, I picked up my pieces.
Mhm.
I looked up to the God who created me, who allowed this to happen.
Mhm.
He was able to carry me through it.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that became my strength. That the God who allowed it to happen, because He knows everything and nothing goes without His knowledge. So if He allowed it to happen, He will make a way through.
Mhm.
Yes, but my biggest worry
Mhm.
was by the time I was diagnosed this last time. The first time and the second time I had medical cover.
Yeah.
Having known how expensive it was, because I knew my sister, whom I follow, spent more than 3.5 million. And she passed on in 2008.
Mhm.
That time, that was a lot of money. Yeah, a lot of money. Even today, that is a lot of money because as at now, for the last how many? 1 year,
Mhm.
1 year and a few months,
Mhm.
I've used over 2.2 million for treatment, and it's still going on.
Yeah.
So one of the things that came into my mind, how will it be?
Mhm.
How will I access treatment?
Mhm.
How will I take care of myself?
Mhm.
Because I live with my daughter,
Mhm.
you see. So a lot of things, a lot of uncertainties come into your mind.
Mhm.
Yeah. But one thing I know is whether you're sick or not, we live one day
Mhm.
at a time.
Mhm.
Yeah. You know that song of One Day at a Time, Sweet Jesus?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes. So
Mhm.
one day at a time, sweet Jesus. Because I've known people who never had cancer and died
Mhm.
well before. So I took it like, yeah, cancer is not a death sentence.
Mhm.
And that's what I keep encouraging many people who are newly diagnosed.
Mhm.
Cancer is not a death sentence. Cancer is just a word.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a word. It's not a death sentence. And even if you have cancer, cancer does not have you.
Mhm.
Yes. It has to be a personal strength to encourage yourself. Before other people get to encourage you, you have to encourage yourself, you have to lift up yourself, and
Mhm.
you have to have hope. Those are things that externally people will encourage you, and externally people will pray for you. But internally, if you don't have it,
Mhm.
it just remains topical.
Mhm.
Yes. This
Yeah.
internal hope comes in my salvation, in knowing the Lord Jesus as my personal savior.
So there you found hope also to move on.
I found hope to move on,
Mhm.
and because I have family, I
Mhm.
have friends who support me, who loved me in I mean unconditionally, whether I had cancer or not,
Mhm.
gave me also strength to instill this hope even deeper. Support system is everything in this walk with cancer. The treatment is very expensive. The first time, the second time, I had insurance.
Mhm.
Now, this third time, I didn't have insurance. I had only the National Insurance Fund for
Mhm.
myself.
Mhm.
And at the beginning, it was not covering the treatment.
Mhm.
So my family and my friends rallied up and they said, we want to see Fredah alive. And
Mhm.
we will look for every coin to see
Mhm.
Fredah get the treatment.
Mhm.
Now, that was the beginning of the journey. Having money is one. Now, starting the treatment is another.
Mhm.
The treatment has been so rigorous,
Mhm.
very encroaching, for lack of a better word. It encroaches into your body, left, right, center, head to toe.
Mhm.
I'm talking about chemotherapy because I started with chemotherapy.
Mhm.
The tumors were too big, they had to be reduced before surgery.
Mhm.
I started with 6 cycles of chemo,
Mhm.
and they took me where the rubber meets the road. The
Mhm.
side effects of chemo.
Mhm.
Yeah. The first set of chemo, the NHIF did not cover everything. So I used about 510,000
Mhm.
for 6 cycles of chemo.
Mhm.
And then the chemo itself turned me upside down. I had the side effects of vomiting, diarrhea,
Mhm.
low immunity. I was transfused. The first set of chemo, I was transfused 4 times. Yes, because it just used to hit my blood. I was always running out of blood. Every time before I go for chemo, I would go for transfusion.
Mhm.
Yes, and those are additional costs.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it was so harsh, so hard. Every time, after 3 weeks, you're about to go for the next one. Before you heal, you're due for the next one.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
before the metallic test in your mouth gets over, you're due for the next one. But by God's grace, we finished that.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I had a break for about 2 months.
Mhm.
Then I had a surgery.
Mhm.
A 6-hour surgery, approximately a 6 hours, because it was 5 hours and about 40 minutes. So 6 hours surgery.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was called cytoreduction surgery.
Mhm.
Opened me up as a book,
Mhm.
removed everything that was looking suspicious,
Mhm.
because this time it was at stage 3C.
Okay.
Yeah, so some of the organs in my body were affected. The
Mhm.
whole peritoneum was pulled down.
Mhm.
So much was done. And you can imagine half a day in theater, 6 hours.
Mhm.
But God's grace was still sufficient. We
Mhm.
overcame that
Mhm.
and moved on. After healing for 2 months, embarked on a second line of chemo.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, which I finished just end of November.
Mhm.
This type, it was a different type of drug,
Okay. Mhm.
and its side effects were also very different,
Mhm.
very massive too.
Mhm.
Yeah, this time it was massive. My body turned black. Of course, hair loss is almost just ordinary and normal for every chemo. Yeah.
Mhm.
But this one really hit my cells. The WBCs were hit so low to an extent that I used to have WBC count of one. Yeah. So my immunity was permanently low. I'm still permanently in a mask. It's just that I'm in the house.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it's getting better by the day. Of course, after chemo now, the bone marrow is able to produce a bit of more.
Mhm.
And of course, you have to eat better.
Mhm.
Yeah, and take care of yourself that you don't mix with people where you'd get infections.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm grateful that in the course of all the treatment, I really didn't get a specific external infection.
Mhm.
What I had were chemo effects that were internally generated by the body.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that was a plus, and I thank God for that. Many people, and the chemos went as scheduled, except at the fourth chemo, at the fourth cycle, my WBC was so low and they were not picking up. So I got a break for about a
Mhm.
month and I continued with the last two.
Mhm.
But it wasn't easy. And
Mm.
nobody promised us that it was going to be easy.
Mhm.
But you weigh the options of treatment vis-a-vis the side effects,
Mhm.
and you choose the right thing to do, which is to choose the treatment irrespective of the side effects.
Mhm.
Yeah, many people I know have run away from treatment because of the first chemo, the side effects, and they said, no, this is not for me.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I chose to finish the treatment so that I can live quality life.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's where you are right now.
And that's where I am right now. I'm still continuing.
Mhm.
I came to see the doctors, the two doctors. One I needed to be reviewed by the surgeon who did the surgery
Mhm.
7 months ago,
Mhm.
and I needed to see the oncologist.
Mhm.
So they both agreed that I need to do a CT scan, not a PET scan.
Mhm.
With the results I'm to pick tomorrow, and I'm seeing both of them, and we are going to forge way forward.
Mhm.
But I believe things are going to be good.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I believe everything is going to be good. And whatever comes, God will make a way. God's grace will be sufficient. We'll go through it, and it will
Mhm.
be okay. We will still live to testify the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yes, yes,
that's where you
yes,
are. Mhm.
yes. That's where I am.
Kind of additional insurance have you had before?
Additional insurance that I had before was my husband's employer's
Mhm.
insurance.
Mhm.
Yeah, which was from the company itself. Yeah,
Mhm.
so that's what I had.
Mhm.
And previously, I worked for AR, which was an insurance company.
Mhm.
But during that time, nothing happened. I never got sick, thank God.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah.
I
Mhm.
think the only time I used this is when I had the appendix removed.
Happens to a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
that's yeah, that's then. That was then. But now, yeah, now I have only insurance. And the reason insurance did not pay for the first set of chemotherapies,
Mhm.
um, the doctor recommended that I get this treatment in Mombasa Hospital.
Mhm.
Mombasa Hospital at the time had been withdrawn from NHIF because of accreditation, because of they had not built up to standard chemotherapy department.
Okay.
But the oncologist, my oncologist,
Mhm.
only could use that hospital. So
Mm.
I risked looking for another oncologist
Yeah.
or looking for money and paying for the chemotherapy in that hospital. That was the hard choice I had to make.
And you decided to stay with the oncologist who has already treated you before? Or
Actually, this was a new oncologist. My previous oncologist died that same year I was diagnosed.
Mhm.
I think 3 months before I was diagnosed again.
Mhm.
So I was a loss. I was lost. I was an orphan of doctors.
Mhm.
So I didn't have a doctor. So when one of the survivors recommended the doctor that I have now,
Okay.
I met him, and I think we as a family we liked him,
Okay. Yeah.
and we agreed we are going to use him.
Mhm.
Yeah. So when this condition came up, we decided to take the better option.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Let me tell you something,
Sure.
Stephanie.
Please do.
Unfortunately, once once you're diagnosed with cancer, no insurance cover wants to take you.
Mhm.
That's the most unfortunate thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it puts us in a very tricky situation that even if you have NHI, if you want another cover, you cannot get it currently.
Mm.
Yes.
So that's definitely something that should change in the near future.
We hope so. We hope so. We are not so contagious as people look at us to be. The
Yeah.
insurance look at us like we are very contagious.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that was just a by the way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You already mentioned that having cancer has somehow affected your life. Can you
Yes.
explain a little more of how it has affected, maybe during the treatment, but also after the treatment and the treatment-free phases? Mm.
Let me share with you something. When I looked after my sister, especially the one I follow,
Yeah.
my husband left me because we had already buried three sisters. My sister, the one I follow,
Yeah.
three of them were stepsisters, and one, the one I follow.
Mhm.
So we were taken like I was taken like I'm coming from a bewitched family.
Mhm.
Yeah, so he took off up to today.
I'm very sorry to hear that.
No, that's fine. We live on. We live by the grace of God. Not if people were to define our lives, I think some
Yeah.
of us would be long gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is one of the effect of life. I think that would we could categorize it as social life. Yeah, that
Sure.
people would walk out of your life because you have cancer.
Mm. Mhm.
Economically, I've not been able to work for more than 1 year.
Mm. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that is an effect of cancer,
Yeah.
that you're not able to engage in your normal day-to-day activities.
Yeah.
Back to back chemo, then a surgery, and not just small time, then back to chemo. And some of us go for radio. This time around, I'm not going for radio. But that back to back treatment does not allow you to engage in any gainful economic work.
Yeah.
Already, cancer has taken so much money from you and from your relatives and family.
Yeah.
Now, if you're not even in any gainful employment, how are you supposed to put food on the table?
Mm.
If you have children, how are they supposed to go to school?
Yeah.
If you're living in a rental house, how are you supposed to pay your utilities and rent?
Yeah.
So cancer, effect of cancer are more than what people imagine or what people can see.
Mhm.
Yeah, if I walk in town, nobody would know I have cancer except for maybe my bald head a bit, but I'm growing hair.
Yeah, they're already coming back.
They're coming back. They're coming
Yeah,
back.
you can see them. Not
I'm
nice.
rocking. I'm rocking them.
Yeah, you are. Mhm.
Yes, but God's grace, when God's grace is upon you, nothing will show that you look like you are needy.
Yeah. Mhm.
But we could be worse than those ones who are in the streets begging for food.
Mhm.
Yes, because apart from the pain that you're going through, that you cannot afford to do one or two things,
Mhm.
can be very frustrating and mentally frustrating for that matter.
Mhm.
Unless you're very strong, sometimes some of those things are the ones that kill you before the cancer kill you.
Mhm.
Yeah, so those are some of the effects that I can tell you I've experienced
Mhm.
with cancer, and especially when I had bilateral mastectomy.
Mhm.
Of course, now with lymphedema,
Mhm.
yeah, you cannot lift weights, you cannot lift that. And let me not forget to tell you that because of cancer, I've broken many bones
Mhm. Mhm.
to an extent that even in November, I
Mhm.
broke a fifth metatarsal bone. I just twisted my leg and it broke. And
Mhm.
at one point, I just missed a step and I fell and I broke my arm 3 times and I broke my ankle. I have a whole metal plate and I have made. So those are the effects of chemo that
Mhm.
sometimes are isolated that people don't talk about, but they can be very massive.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it affects your life in a very big way. And yet we cannot call ourselves people living with disabilities.
Why not? Or why yes?
Because when we go for assessment for people living with disability, we are
Yeah.
turned down.
So you won't get any benefits of
No, you cannot get any exemptions or benefits or any whatever it is that comes with it. Yeah.
You've already shared that how it affects your life, how it affected your body, how it affected your social life. If you look at these different areas, what helped you to move on again and again? Because we also want to use that time in order to encourage newly diagnosed cancer patients that they have ideas of how other people might have coped, what helped them in order for them to have ideas of how they can do it themselves.
What has helped me is I never put cancer in my head. No, no. I don't go to sleep thinking cancer. I don't wake up thinking cancer. No, I don't. There's no time in the 3 attacks. There's no time I ever put cancer in my head. That is one thing that has helped me. I don't look at myself and have pity party that I have cancer. No, no. In fact, I get amused when I didn't have hair and I was a bit weak and I was given preference treatment at SGR to board the lift instead of walking the elevator.
Yeah, that's the way.
Like, oh, some special.
Yeah.
Yeah, so unless for those occasions you're like, oh, so I'm given a preference treatment because of cancer. Oh, so anyway, yeah, so I never put it in my head. I just go about my business. Even when I go for chemo, I just go for chemo knowing I'm sick like any other person. I'm going for treatment. My treatment may be different, but yes, I'm going for treatment and I'll just be well. Yeah, so that is, I think that is one thing, apart from my faith and my hope, that is one thing that really, really helped me inside me as an individual.
Yeah.
The other thing that, and the other thing that helped me is that comes with that is acceptance. Yeah. You see, once you accept yourself, I walk without anything, without prosthesis, personally. And I just walk with my chest in front. I don't care. So, yes, I just walk. I don't care to put on a bra, and I keep telling myself, I'm one of those lucky people who do not have to have something tight around their chests. I'm one of
Yeah, there are benefits.
yeah, I'm one of those lucky women who don't have to wear something tight around your chest. I just dress up and leave,
Yeah.
So acceptance is one step that, yes, accept you have cancer. Cancer has treatment. It's no longer those days when there was no treatment. Cancer has treatment. You get treated and life will continue. Yeah, but the moment you have a pity party, and especially where I come from in Mombasa, people really have this pity party. They cover themselves and they sleep, and everybody come around you to sit and sympathize, not empathize, but sympathize. And oh yeah, pole, that kind of thing. I don't have time for that nonsense.
Wonderful how you are dealing with that and coping it.
I just don't have time for that. If you're coming to visit me, let's come, sit, laugh, take tea, whatever it is, and let's talk about good things, positive vibes, no negative vibes like, oh yeah, now you're going for chemo next week, oh yeah, you're going to go back to throwing up or having diarrhea, or with when you get neuters and your bones are paining, like your flesh is divorcing your bones. Let's talk about, even when you get me in that kind of pain, let's just talk about something positive, vibes only. I encourage only positive vibes. Yeah. And I thank God that even despite the pain, my smell never left my face. Yeah, I'm this smiley person that I always just love to laugh. I've no time, and thank God even chemo dried my tears, so I didn't even have tears. one of the side effects one of the side effects that I realized, I didn't have tears. Even when I was peeling an onion near my tears, there was no tears coming out. So so yeah, what helped me is acceptance, and looking forward, positivity, looking forward to good things. I didn't stop planning for the future because I have cancer. I still have plans. I want to do this, I want to do that, you know yeah. And we pray over them, and we pray that they come to pass. So some of those things, small little things, yeah, and having people who love you around you, who care, who see this vision with you, who see you getting well and getting back on your feet again. Yes, very important. The kind of friends, we are told that the kind of friends we keep are the ones that define who we are. So if you keep positive friends, positive vibes around you, you go far. Nothing will put you down. Yeah.
Did you also attend some social support groups for?
I am so many. I thank you. I am in so many, and some of them I joined by the virtue that my late sister was in one of them. Yeah, so I knew I would take her for those meetings, so I knew about them. And because I have suffered 3 types. I'm in general support groups. I'm in breast cancer support groups. Yeah, we still don't have cervical support group only on its own.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm in general support groups. I'm in breast cancer support groups, and we walk together, we laugh together, we meet and do all sorts of manner of things together that brings positivity to our lives. Yes.
That is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
One question that comes up for some women who also have breast cancer is the question of how do they identify themselves as women if they might have some surgery on their breast. That might be a very personal question, but you already mentioned that you walk on the street because you just want to not have something around your breast. So has that somehow affected you, or did you think about it? How did it help you?
Personally, it did not affect me. Personally, it did not affect me.
Yeah.
Because my being a woman is not defined by my having breasts. And my being a woman is not defined by not having a uterus or a cervix, and now not having an ovary. I'm still a woman, and I'm still fearfully and wonderfully made. And having no hair does not make me less a woman. So who is a woman? A woman is that person that you think you are on the inside. Whether you have no hair. I've been donated for weeks, but Mombasa is too hot. Stephanie, where will I start working on my face with sweat, or will I just want to be a free person, looking good? I mean, if people want to say something about my bald hair, let them say. That's not my problem. I think, let me also say that being a counselor helped me. Although they say in Swahili, mganga hajigangi.
Mhm.
Yeah, a medicine man cannot treat themselves.
Mhm.
Just as a plain translation. Yeah,
Mhm.
but I think the innate person in me,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm still feeling like a woman.
Mhm.
I still without hair, without breast.
Mhm.
For me, I am fortunate. I have none.
Mhm.
For that woman who has lost one,
Mhm.
for the balance of your what do I say it, for your cosmetic balance, you may need to wear a prosthesis to balance the other side, or otherwise you start leaning on one side
Mhm.
because of the weight of one breast and no breast on the other. So I would encourage women, just wear another prosthesis on the other side of your breast. And if you just want to walk free, who is this who has an issue with you to do that? Who should question you about how you walk with your body?
Mhm.
But for that, for the dressing and for goodness of, for you to feel good about yourself, if you want to feel good about, if that is what will make you feel good, please wear a prosthesis. But that does not reduce your womanhood.
Mhm.
None at all. In my view, it does not reduce you. And nobody should make you feel less a woman because you do not have breasts.
Mhm.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing this very important part as well, because a lot of people also question then maybe how they're feeling, or they're at least struggling a little bit with these questions of what is it and
Yes.
how
Yes.
they're identifying themselves.
What I have not lived to experience
Mhm.
is having no uterus, having no cervix, and a sex life.
Mhm.
That I've not lived to experience, so I cannot talk about it because I didn't have a husband after well before even hysterectomy.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I don't know how that would affect me, but I feel very comfortable.
Mhm.
My hormones, I actually had to undergo early menopause.
Okay, that also happens. Mhm.
Yeah, early menopause set in because of that surgery and all that. But we maneuvered. Just a lot of sweating and chills and heat wave that you cannot explain, you know. Let me tell you a very funny story. One day I was traveling in a matatu and I get a hot flash.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm sitting near the window, but I'm getting a very hot flash.
Mhm.
And then a man sitting next to me extends his hand to
Mhm.
open the window for me, who is sitting next to the window.
Mhm.
I looked at this man and I told him, if my breasts were there, if you ever touch my breasts, I would have war with you. Thank God I don't have any, so you didn't touch any.
Ah.
Thank God you did not touch. There was none to be touched.
Mhm.
I'm the one who is having a hot flash. So it was me to think of the window. It is not you.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
please, can you respect women? Anyway,
Mhm.
by the way, some of these things you just make fun out of it. And it's just the day
Mhm.
is done. Yeah. Mm.
Mhm.
Anyway, sorry, you're asking me something.
Well, it's wonderful. These are the anecdotes in day-to-day life which really help also to yeah look at life on a funny note or a simpler note, and bearing it to an extent where you can easily also live with it. That's a wonderful way of engaging with it. Um,
Yeah.
because you shared with us that your sisters and your stepsisters, you were also taking care of them. Um, and for some people, the question of, is cancer something that is within a family, comes up. Do you have some conversations with your family members around cancer and hereditary cancer or so on? And how do you engage with these questions, if you do, and if you want to share?
I do. And I'll share that even my daughter, who is 23, has had HPV vaccine.
Mhm.
Before the government brought it, there was GSK Savarix,
Mhm.
yeah, which she took at 9 years, she took at 12 years, and I think after 15 years or something,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I encourage, especially cervical cancer really hides before, it's not anything that is on your breast that you'll palpate and
Mhm.
feel a lump and go
Yeah.
for a mammogram or that thing, something like that. So I encourage my next of kins,
Mhm.
my relatives,
Mhm.
to always make sure they have a vaccine, especially those who are sexually active.
Mhm. Mhm.
Two, I encourage them to do self breast examination. And I take the task to teach them how to do self breast examination. Yeah. So that we can, I am an advocate of early detection is key to cure.
Mhm.
If I had not detected mine early,
Mhm.
probably cancer would have killed me before I get even ovarian cancer.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I always encourage people around me, not just my family members,
Mhm.
but anybody I come across who is willing to listen. I always tell them, please do your breast self-examination. Don't wait for October, and don't wait for January to do cervical campaign, or October to do breast.
Mhm.
Just have it any day, every day. Let it be your way of life to check yourself.
Mhm.
And if you're an adult, you just go for pap smears.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, because a lot of
You're welcome.
people also ask these questions. Well,
Yeah.
when I go through my list of topics that I would love to talk to you about, you've already
Mhm.
covered almost everything. The only thing, but which is wonderful because you shared so much from your life and you really helped to us to learn more of how it was for you and what helped you specifically. Um,
Yes.
at the end of our interview, at the end of our conversation, I would like to ask you whether you have maybe a specific message for newly diagnosed cancer patients and also a specific message for caregivers in order to help them to cope uh, with cancer in a better way, if you want.
Okay.
Mhm.
Sure. For the newly diagnosed cancer patients, um, one of the challenges, let me talk about the challenges that we have. One of the challenges that we have is sometimes we get to be diagnosed by small clinics.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
small clinics. Let me just call them small clinics,
Mhm.
who will tell you that what you have looks like cancer, or you go for an FNA or a mammogram, and the results come out that you have cancer.
Mhm.
Now, most of the time, during my time of breast cancer, you are told that now you need to go and see the next doctor, and this next doctor you're not told about.
Mhm.
The oncologists then were very few. You'd go to a surgeon, and they would bring out your breast, yeah, and after that you don't know where to go.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
especially it was a big challenge for people living in outside Nairobi, because the first oncologists were in Nairobi. So after that, you're lost. And not, some people have never stepped foot in Nairobi. So that
Mhm.
was a very big challenge in the past, which now is not a challenge. Now, if you're newly diagnosed of cancer, the newly diagnosed cancer patients, what I would encourage them, keep positivity.
Mhm.
Cancer is a word. It's a disease like any other disease. The treatment may be vigorous and may be expensive, but
Mhm.
NHIF now covers a lot of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, don't be afraid. Don't hold back. Don't sit back and cover yourself at home and think it is witchcraft. Don't think it's only you. You know, sometimes when you told you have something, you think you're the only one, the world is against you. It is a normal disease like any other. Just seek treatment earlier the better, and you can live a very meaningful life even after cancer diagnosis. Yes. Now, to our beloved caregivers, our golden heart caregivers, you're doing a great job. Please don't get tired of us. It is the sometimes the anxieties of treatment, the painful experiences we get through with chemos and radios and whatever treatment somebody is going with the hormonal imbalances. But we appreciate you so much, and we just pray that you actually don't give up on us, and God will bless you. You're doing a great job. Any caregiver, even if it is 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, you're doing a great job, and we appreciate you so much. Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing these very encouraging words.
Thank you.
If you allow me, because you mentioned that you are a counselor as well.
Yes.
And so this is a question we usually don't ask when we were having these conversations.
Yes.
But because you also said that a lot of people mentioned that when they first hear that they are diagnosed with cancer, they think it's a death sentence, or they think it is also witchcraft. So there are quite a number of misconceptions that
Yes.
exist there. And as a counselor, you might also have encountered some of them. And if you want, because this is also something that a lot of people then often report, if you want, you can also share a few of the misconceptions and how you responded to that.
Yes.
Because that is something that a lot of newly diagnosed cancer patients might either think themselves, or other people approach them and tell them, this is what you have, or this is why it is. And it takes
Yes.
quite a lot of strength and courage and conviction that to step up and say, no, this is not witchcraft, or so on. So
Yes.
if you want to do us the honor and share some of the misconceptions and how you respond to it.
Yes. Some of the misconceptions and the myths that people have about cancer is one of them, as you've said, it's a witchcraft. That it is people believe that breasts can never be operated on, that if you ever have your breast cut, you'll die. Yeah, those are the misconceptions that some of them we have met. And unfortunately, I've met them in a situation where somebody's in the hospital and the nurses are taking them through what the results meant and what the treatment ahead is about. And they say, no, I'm not going to go through this treatment because it is not something that should be treated in the hospital. We should go back to the witch doctor. Yeah, or I should go for prayers. Yeah, or I should go for herbal medicine. And I've been called in such a situation. Now, most of the time, I don't go as a counselor. I go as a warrior, a champion. Yeah. Because one thing somebody would tell you, and even somebody who has started chemo and is too much for them and they want to stop, they will tell you, you don't know how I'm feeling. You don't understand what I am going through. You don't know how it feels to have cancer. So don't talk to me about getting this treatment. Yeah. So that is a case where I as Fredah, I go and I approach it from a survivor's point of view. That I'm a living example, I'm a living testimony that yes, cancer is there. Yes, cancer is not a witchcraft, it's a disease. and it can be treated in the hospital, and it can be treated differently between this and that, and all of us, we go through different treatment regime. And some people don't even have chemotherapy, some people just get radiotherapy, some people have chemotherapy and they don't get radiotherapy, and some people just go on hormonal treatment. So I go in, and trust me, Dr. Stephanie, I will show you my bare chest. That if you think if your breast is cut, you're not going to live, look at mine, both of them are cut, and I'm alive. So what you're having in your mind is a lie. It is not true. But what is true is that you can be cut and your life can be saved and you can live a normal quality life. That is the approach I use. And of course, now this is somebody, you've arrested them. Now you can sit down and counsel and bring down their anxieties and fears, address their anxieties and their fears, and come to an agreement that, yes, can I start the treatment tomorrow? Yes. So that is the approach I give it, which often works. Yes.
Wonderful.
And I'm fortunate that I've suffered all the cancers except the prostate. So 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 it's very easy. If you call me for a cervical cancer, I've been a cervical cancer survivor. If you call me for an ovarian, I'm an ovarian cancer survivor. So I'm a breast cancer survivor. And I call myself, we are the flat screens. So we are the modern screens.
Yeah, wonderful description.
Yeah. So we just have a talk from where we actually meet at a balance, then we talk about cancer from that. So I give it a survivor counselor approach, which counseling comes after the survivorship. Yes. I want to talk about family members. Because you've asked me how I counsel people who have been diagnosed with cancer. Now, the people who are mostly forgotten are family members. Family members, they suffer equally. And some of them go into depression because one of them, of the belief that cancer is a killer disease. So I encourage fellow counselors, I encourage members in the society that when you go to talk to patients, please don't sideline the family members. And I was talking to my oncologist and I told him, whenever you sit with your patients, please talk to their family members as well. One, they will know how to handle the patient. And two, they will have mental stability on how to hang around the patient. Because if family members hang around patients with drooping faces, how do you expect this patient to have positivity? Yeah. So we need to also empower family members to also embrace this positivity. It makes the journey for the cancer patient very easy. Yes.
Very important point. Thank you for adding it.
Thank you.
You have addressed so many aspects. Thank you so much for giving us a glimpse of your own journey. It was my great pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stephanie. It was my pleasure also sharing my journey and my story with others. You'll know them by the word of their testimonies. We are here to testify that God is still good despite what we go through. He still remains good and He'll take care of us. We should not fear death, because the worst thing that people fear when you're sick, leave alone cancer, when you're very sick, is death. Yeah. But I want to say that death, for every person born of a woman, you will die.
Mhm.
Yes, that it's guaranteed.
Mhm.
We should not think of death on a day-to-day basis because we are sick. Because often people who are well do not think about death.
Mhm.
But when you are sick, you think about death like it is here under my nose. We should restrain from thinking about death. It will come whether we like it or not, whether you're sick or not sick, whether you're poor, whether you're rich, death will come. So don't think about it. It's a natural phenomenon. Only God knows our time. So live your life to the fullest. Enjoy your life while you're still here. Don't think about things that you cannot make a difference. You cannot change.
Mhm.
Death is one of them. You cannot change.
Mhm.
It's a destiny that everybody will go through. So when you're going through cancer, just don't think about death. Because one of the things that frustrate cancer survivors is, how am I going to leave my children? How am I going to leave my husband? How am I going to leave my mother? How am I going to leave my father? Those ones might even go before you. So don't think about